Titan launches smart labs in Hyderabad for developing intelligent wearable devices. The center, named as Titan Smart Labs, is first of its kind engineering center in India. Titan Smart Labs was inaugurated by Jayesh Ranjan, Principal Secretary for Telangana's Industries and Commerce and Information Technology Department. As part of the event, a fireside chat was organized. Listen in.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for waiting. I know we're a little behind schedule, but I think this fireside chat was going to be worth it. So maybe I can start directly with you, Venkat. So we're in Titan Smart Labs right now. I'm just curious, how does Titan Smart Labs fit into the Titan strategy in general?
Yeah, thanks, Srini. Actually, we got into the smartwatch category about 6-7 years back, but it was a little bit of a homegrown kind of effort, and we realized 3 odd years into the game that we need to play it very differently if we want to lead in this space, because we realized the explosive growth opportunity sitting in that, and then we looked around and we identified Raj and team as a group of people to partner with, and Hug Innovations became part of Titan on 1st of January, officially 2020. And they've been part of Titan ever since. And the establishing of in fact, the naming happened about 4-5 months back. Yes. The Titan Smart Labs naming happened 4-5 months back, and today, of course, is a very, very significant day in that journey where we have moved, in our view, from being a player in this, 2-3 years back, to being a prominent name today, frankly, especially in the last 1 month with what Raj and team have accomplished in taking Titan into the front of this category, and not too long from today to be a dominant force in this category. And I think we will also bring the typical customer obsession of Titan company into this category as well, and use our deep approach of providing solutions to customer problems on the one hand, or latent needs on the other, by using the right appropriate technology, which of course Raj and team will bring into this.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Actually, if I could ask you, Suparna, as the CEO of the Watches and Wearables division, taking off from what Venkat was saying, this is a very fast-moving area. Watches and wearables has really exploded in the last 5 years. I think it's really taken off, right? So many things are going on in that space. We have companies like Apple, who have Fitbit internationally. We have a couple of local players as well. But one of the things I'm wondering about is which comes first? Is it the technology side of things? Is it the consumer side of things? In the startup world, we talk about understanding a consumer's needs and then building something. And yet some people say, actually it's the other way around. We know what's coming. We'll put the features out there and consumers will use that. What's your take on that?
So this is a very interesting question. I think, consumer technology has always had this, it's the quintessential dilemma. What comes first? It's like a chicken or egg question. I think technology is available to a lot of people. And what people make out of that technology to make it intuitive and very easy to use, those are the companies and those are the brands that really become very, very successful. And there are case studies from starting from, the original Apple iPod. That technology was there. It was just that it came together in a shape, size, in a form that was very appealing, very easy to use, and then it created a whole category by itself. If I come to smartwatches, I think there is a role for new technology which addresses latent or sometimes even visible consumer needs. But like a lot of other consumer electronic products, most users use less than 10% of the features of any of those. Like whether it's a smart watch or even a hearable, an audio accessory device, I know a lot of features are packed into it, and a lot of companies, including ours, we go to town saying we have, A, B, C, D, E, F feature. Most people don't use 90% of it. Not because that is not relevant, but because it is not that easy, it's not intuitive. So the unlocking the value of a technology is not that it is present. Technology may be present, but how easy is it for consumers to access it? For example, and I'll give you an example, most smartwatches have a sleep monitoring feature. But most consumers have no idea how to read it. What is REM? What is... They don't know. They don't understand, and so they're not able to interpret whatever is coming up in your app and say, is this good? How should I react to this? Some things are easy, like an SpO2 or a heart rate. I think even heart rate, there are many dimensions to reading heart rate. Most average consumers don't really understand. So I think there is a role for technology and increasingly useful technology, and there is a role for companies and brands to explain those technology features and translate them into consumer benefit. I think that's the link. How is the feature leading to the benefit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, presenting raw data through a sensor is one thing. But is it actionable? As a consumer, great, I see this number, what am I supposed to do with it? And I think that's the heart of it is what do I do with this data? And I like that you're focused on that part as well. Maybe I'll jump to Ravi for a minute. One thing I must note is that, I've seen that, Suparna, you and Venkat, you've been at the company for decades, which is pretty amazing, right? And I'd love to know how that happened. What is it about Titan that does that? But Ravi, coming to you for a minute, you're brand new, 2 days old in the company, and you come from a healthcare background. Some of the things that we just spoke about with Suparna is the fact that we are building all these new features into a watch, right? Health things. How clinical is clinical grade when people talk about that in a watch? And how much can a consumer really rely on that data for health recommendations?
Great question. Yeah, first of all, it's a pleasure and a privilege to be part of this team. I feel extremely humbled, actually, to be in this amazing space, and hopefully we can go on to do some fantastic things in the world of smart. Back to your question. Yeah, the key is it's got to be accurate, it's got to be reliable, it's got to be relevant as well. I think in general wearables have come a long way from displaying a random number to kind of really getting to the standards that are out there for all kinds of clinical parameters like ECG, heart rate, etc. More than the accuracy of it, because these are all kind of, it could be spot measurements sometimes, it could be things that are captured over time. It's how do you make it relevant so it becomes part of something that's useful to you, because that's why you will use it as opposed to just getting a number on a little screen, right? So in terms of clinical accuracy, they have improved a lot. The technology has improved a lot. The challenge and the opportunity is how do you make it useful? How do you make it useful without having to try? Most people who get an iPhone don't read a big manual, right? Because it's so intuitive. I know it's easy to kind of just take Apple as an example for everything, but that's just one of it, which is how do you make it so that it becomes part of you, it becomes part of your life, it gets integrated. And I love the fact that we are calling this smart labs. We're not calling it a wearable lab. We're not calling it a hearable lab. These are all just parts of it. So this whole smart ecosystem is going to evolve, and we'll make it happen. And that's where clinical parameters, behavioral parameters, things that are useful to you will all be, it's almost things that will disappear into your way of living with clinical grade accuracy, so that when you show that information to your physician, or you don't have to go show it, it probably automatically gets to them, right? it's meaningful and actionable, as opposed to, well, now I have to prescribe another test for you, right? So I think that's the gap we are closing in very, very quickly with improved technology, but most importantly, making sure people can a lot of people, if you look at the average length of use of a quote-unquote smart strap and a smart watch, about 3 years ago, people would buy it in about a few months, it would kind of go into the drawer. But now, with more functions, it's become part of their life, right? So I made the transition today to wearing the Titan Smart watch here. So it's a journey we need to take people through where it becomes part of their daily life with accuracy.
Right. I think I'm going to have to buy one myself and wear it. Raj, for a minute, taking off from this stuff, right? So all of us here in Hyderabad have watched you grow, ringside seat from almost day one of T-Hub, you were in there with Hug Innovations. You got acquired by this incredible company, and I'm assuming you're going to do incredible work here again. What's it been like working with Titan versus being, a startup founder, and what strategies for the future?
I think just to summarize, right, Titan welcomed me with open arms, and then I'm fully empowered, almost run it like a CEO over here, and just for a change, I get paid also for the work that I do. So I'll just summarize it that way, because honestly, I've never seen a merger to work this smooth. Titan has really welcomed me with open arms, and then they've said that you are the torchbearer for the technology, and they mean it. Like, they've given me a complete free hand, so I really love it. I didn't really expect that it'll be this good, and I'm honest that, it's really, really nice and wonderful to be here. Also, Venkata and Suparna tell me that I've always been a Titanian, it's just that it officially happened. So I think the culture that we've built in Hug Innovations and the culture at Titan almost are like synonymous and resonate. The people culture, the values, everything pretty much is the same. Then where do we take off from here? When Hug Innovations was born, right, the dream was big, the plans were big, and that's why even though we were a startup, the first product that we built, the Hug smartwatch for women, we didn't shop, we didn't outsource, we didn't buy a white label product. It was built with blood and sweat. It was like pure hard-earned engineering done from Hyderabad, complete PCBA and everything, and the manufacturing was done all the way by Foxconn. So all the ingredients, we had it to actually shoot. We just didn't have the rocket and the fuel to shoot to the sky. I think with Titan now, I have the rocket, the ammo, the fuel, and the brand. I think we are definitely going to shoot to the sky.
That's awesome. I mean, like I said, I'm very proud of the fact that you're here, a Hyderabadi in Hyderabad running this.
Thank you.
Jayesh, if I can just bring it to you for a minute, right? So he talked about, I think it's incredible, by the way, that you're doing all of this work in India. From chip design onwards. I mean, that's not something that most companies do. Telangana is, of course, we spoke about this a little earlier, but it's become a manufacturing hub. It's become an innovation hub. I'd just like to understand from you, Jayesh, some examples of, how a company like Titan could scale, with examples of companies that have done that already.
Yeah. So before that, let me also formally congratulate Titan, Raj, Venkat Garu, Suparna Garu, Ravi, and all your leaders, your colleagues who are here for this wonderful facility that you have brought to Hyderabad. It also is a very big shot in our arm, because for the last 8 years, we have been promoting innovation, promoting entrepreneurship, and many companies, in a way, who's who of the world, have chosen to set up their centers in Hyderabad, and they are really flourishing. So I'm very, very confident that your journey here will also be on same lines, and I'm sure you will far exceed your expectations. I know that you are starting small. You have a 60 headcount for the present, but I'm very, very sure that in no time, you will be coming back to us, asking for more space, more help, and so on and so forth, which will be a good problem to have. But I also see many other ways in which your footprint can be expanded. First of all, as I alluded, this center itself can deliver much more than what you are possibly putting on their table. I have seen countless other examples when companies have started small because they are not very sure of what to expect from Hyderabad. We do have good talent, but how productive will they be, how innovative will they be, how, most importantly, there are 2-3 other feedback which we get about the talent here. One is in terms of the discipline towards deliverables. In fact, many of our companies, they have global operations running from here. So you have timelines, you have deliverables for their global clients, and the track record of Hyderabad-based companies to deliver on time with good quality, etc., is near perfect. So that is one very positive feedback which we get. We also receive lots of feedback about the fact that the talent is much more affordable. Attrition rates are much lower. For instance, since you work out of Bangalore, I have data to show. I have actual data. I have compared 6 large companies who have footprints both in Hyderabad and in Bangalore, equal sized footprints. And I have found that the attrition in Hyderabad is almost just a third of what is there in Bangalore. And there are so many other advantages as well. So one, I'm very sure that this center will grow. You will be giving more work to them, and you will feel at some point in time very proud of the output and outcomes which are coming from this center. We also know that you look after other verticals. For example, your jewelry business, Tanishq, is very important nationally, and I guess you have showrooms outside the country as well. Of late, this is also becoming a very important destination for some of the major companies. In fact, I don't want to take any names just like that, but 2 large companies have chosen to invest big time in Hyderabad. They are setting up their refinery, they're setting up their production facility, and one of them is one of the leading players in the south of the country. I mean, they are from, most of the jewelry players, as you know, are from south. They are one of the leaders in the market, and they are betting very big in Hyderabad. Almost a 700 crores investment is coming our way from them. There are 2 other companies also who are not investing that big, but are investing in significant manufacturing facilities. But this one is also putting up its refinery here. So that is one more opportunity, since Indians will never lose their obsession with gold. And if you think that your business is growing bigger and bigger, and if you feel that there is a need for a second center in the country, Hyderabad will be a very good choice. The textile business that you look after is again something very relevant for us. I look after that subject as well. And in the last 7 years, I mean, it's a nice coincidence that we are meeting today, just 3 days after the National Handlooms Day. 7th August was the Handlooms Day. And every year we take stock of what we have done for the handloom sector. And I feel very satisfied at the way in which we have supported this sector. We have been able to bring lots of renowned designers close to our weavers, and today they are producing stuff which are very trendy, very contemporary, and I'll be very happy if Taneira can source more and more from the weavers in Telangana. There are 6 clusters here, and I do know that you have showrooms, but opportunity to source, make design interventions, link them to e-commerce, etc., is something which will be a very win-win kind of a thing. So that is the second possibility. I don't really want to comment on Titan Manufacturing. It is a entity which has it's deeply entrenched with a particular state government. I do not know how comfortable they will be if they learn that you are looking at manufacturing in another state. But if that bond is not that kind of binding and you have some flexibility, this is a good place. We have lots of electrical and electronics companies who have again done things very, very profitably. From your group itself, this may surprise you, but after Jamshedpur, the largest headcount of Tata employees in a city is in Hyderabad. You may not know this. You may think that it is Bangalore, but it is not true. The largest Tata Group presence outside Jamshedpur, of course, is here. So the group is doing well. The group is doing some very refined kind of precision engineering manufacturing in the aerospace vertical. We have the communications. Of course, the large contributor of that number is TCS and so on. But we'll be very happy if you can consider Telangana for no other reason but for the fact that we have progressive policies, business-friendly policies. Companies who have invested in Telangana have, without exception, without fail, have had very good experiences here. They have made multiple investments subsequently. So look forward to getting more business of Titan and your affiliate companies to our state.
Thanks, Jayesh, for that. I hope that we do more business here for all of our sakes. innovation is dear to all of our hearts in this room. Suparna, just coming back to you for a minute, right? The whole smart devices domain, if you want to call it that, there's so many different things happening in that space. We talked about obviously watches and wearables. We also talked about hearables. By the way, I believe Venkat is wearing one of the hearables, right?
It's a smart glasses.
Smart glasses with speakers inside. So there are so many things coming up. What do you think is the future of that area for Titan specifically, and the area in general?
So the area in general, I'm so fascinated. If you see any, recent car launch, to me it looks like it's software and electronics, and there is a car on top of it. It just looks like everything earlier. I mean, of course, there is the whole transition from the internal combustion engine to the electric vehicle engine, which is a separate thing. But there was a time when features in a car were all mechanical, they were physical. Now the features in a car are all about the software and how you can see everything on the screen, whether it's the maps or the music, or it's just like, that is really where, the electronics part of it, or rather I would say the smart part of it, because there is a hardware angle and there's a software angle. The smart part of it is now just assimilated into every category. So, you have smart refrigerators, you have smart phones, smart homes. So, and there are many, many categories where the intelligence of that device through software programming and through electronic parts has become made life easier for consumers. And I think that's where, I'm not really a future gazer or anything, but if I think of what life will be like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, many things that we do mechanically will be all automatic, and the automatic part is actually all smart. So that's in general. For us, of course, right now we are very focused on smartwatches and hearables, more on smartwatches, hearables, audio accessories. We are doing some lot of consumer work to get to, what I was referring earlier, how does the technology go into benefit? But the sky is the limit. And I think with the kind of resources, both human as well as infrastructure that we have in the Titan Smart Labs that got inaugurated today, absolutely fabulous innovation work can happen. And it would be very limiting for us to think that it will only be in these two categories. It could be in anything. So that's, I think the imagination is what should not be limited. The outcome will also be unlimited.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we read about was, again, I won't name the company, but potentially putting sensors into AirPods or, things in your ear that will measure certain statistics again and again integrate with everything else.
It exists right now.
Okay. So that becoming more, but I think the point that you made is absolutely true, which is the hardware is definitely important, but at the end of the day, it's also the software that actually ties this together and makes it actionable. So maybe I can ask you, Ravi, with your experience in this field, what are the sort of things that you think we need to be doing differently from now? There's a lot of hardware out there, from rings that people wear to these AirPods to all sorts of things, right? And yet the truth is, as all of us mentioned earlier, 90% of those features are not being used because they're really not that actionable. So how can we change that?
Great question. I guess two things. One is back to your earlier question about, how good are these clinical, wearables. It's not just the clinical part, it's how good is the data, right? So the provenance of the data is important. So that's where you do need hardware, because without that, you will not get the data. But the trick is, how do you make it kind of almost disappear into the things that you use, things that are highly relevant, useful, etc. for you. So that's one part. The second part of it is, how do you then take kind of take all of that information and amalgamate that into something that both guides you, nudges you, helps you to live a better life, right? So that's what I think we need to do, to continue to look at how can we aggregate the data. That's where AI comes into play. That's where behavioral aspects and deep understanding of human behavior comes into play, understanding the needs of people through different stages. What somebody, a preteen would need from a smart perspective is very different from a teenager to somebody like us. And as we get older. So I think the whole spectrum is ripe for innovation in terms of sensors and all the things that can kind of come with it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much potential in this space, and I know that you're working on some really exciting products as well that we're looking forward to hearing about in the future. But right now, there's this whole concern about the economy in general. A lot of people are saying winter is coming, all these sort of comments are being made. Do you think that will actually affect things like these consumer wearables and consumer devices in general? Maybe I could ask you that question, Venkat.
See, if you look at all the projections for the next decade, when India is going to move from around $2,200 per capita income to 5,000 and above. And if you look at that pyramid of the various income classes which are sitting in that, you will find in all reports of BCG and McKinsey and all that, and it has typically happened in every country in the world, is that the top 2 or 3 income segments end up actually exploding in their numbers. In India, the estimate is that the top 3 will double in their share to total number of households. So from about 100 million households today, out of the 300 million, it will double in share to about 250 million in the next 8 years. And if you look at the profile of Titan Company and the customers that Titan Company by and large caters to, they just sort of totally aligned to these 3 segments, which means that from a nation which is impatiently hurtling towards affluence, where all the people in the country want that affluence, we are aligned to that top half of the pyramid, 1/3 of the pyramid, and therefore there is no worry at all on that front from a near-term point of view. And equally from an immediate term point of view, all the inflationary pressures that we read about every day, the products on which inflation is actually happening, the share of those products to the total expenditure and the total income of these 100 million households is very low. So, whereas if you look at a typical mass market company, like in the staples industry, FMCG, they cater to everybody in the pyramid, and therefore they need to be worried about that. So both from a near term as well as from an immediate term point of view, I feel that the inflation is not really a factor for us to worry about. And equally, 80% of the business of Titan is from jewelry today, and there is no inflation in jewelry. In fact, if people are worried about things around us, they tend to buy more jewelry. If the stock market is in a bit of a spin, they buy more jewelry. So it's good for us when people are feeling very good. It's good for us. If they're feeling a little worried, they're even better for us. So that's from a company position point of view, and therefore our ability to continue to invest in our babies,
right.
Smart Labs being one such baby, is very, very high.
That's really encouraging news for all of us. Jayesh, maybe I can just ask you, we talked about, so Raj mentioned Foxconn as one company that they used to work with, right? And we are seeing companies looking at investing into manufacturing units in India in general. What do you see? Do you see it slowing down at all? I mean, what's your experience? You're talking to people day in, day out with manufacturing.
No. So actually, electronics manufacturing is bound to grow. There are very positive policies of national government as well. They have, as a part of this Atmanirbhar scheme, they have introduced PLI schemes for different kinds of electronics, semiconductors. State government is also offering lots of advantages to manufacturing companies. And there is a race right now. In fact, many companies which earlier were hugely dependent on electronics exports from Taiwan, let us say, or China, are now looking at manufacturing themselves. And my sense is that there are 4 or 5 states which everyone is kind of looking up to, which are their topmost preferences. And we figure very prominently because we have also a very progressive electronics policy. Electronics sector also requires lots of infrastructure support. They require huge quantums of water, they are power guzzlers. So fortunately in our state, in the last 8 years, we have been able to create a situation where we are power surplus today. We have water surplus for the industrial sector. So we can meet their demands very, very easily. And I do see more electronic manufacturing coming our way in days to come.
Okay, that's again reassuring, and it ties in with what Venkat was saying as well. Raj, I know we're coming towards the end of this session, but I just wanted to ask you, what do you see as the future of Titan Smart Labs? What can we in Hyderabad be looking forward to? And do you have any plans to, talk to other people outside of Titan?
So one thing is, we see that there's a huge possibility to actually expand beyond the devices, because as everybody said, right, so device is only a portion of the experience that we want to give. We are looking at actually a holistic consumer experience, because naturally when you buy a product, particularly a smart device, there's an initial excitement to check, hey, what is my heart rate? What is my sleep today? How many steps I walked and all. And another 15-20 days that becomes a routine, and then most of the smartwatches are turning into just timekeepers, or maximum people are using it for notifications. I think beyond that, consumers are not seeing the value. So what we intend to do is, we are not just limiting ourselves to the device experience. We really want to create a consumer experience in a holistic way with our platform, where there is a lot of exciting things that we are bringing on this year and next year, where we are extending the life of the watch in a much more meaningful way. We're going to introduce gamification. We're going to introduce incentives for better lifestyle management. We are actually curating partnerships. When you ask, like, are we going to talk to others? Why not? Because there are a lot of niche players who are offering specific services in the healthcare ecosystem today, but there is no mothership that can actually unite all of these. And I feel that Titan can play that role to be that mothership, to bring all of these niche players and give consumer that promise. Today, why do you buy in Amazon? Blindly because you see the promise that if something goes wrong, Amazon is there to return. You're not looking at the company that is manufacturing. Similarly, in a service provider sector, particularly in wearables associated, there's a lot of opportunity for us to play that big daddy role and then say that we are able to bring a lot of niche players collected into this, and we are able to provide meaningful services to our consumers beyond just the device. So that is the plan that we have. And plus, we are going to roll out a lot more products that will be more meaningful, and we'll be eventually moving into more of a vertical solution. Today, we are a lifestyle. If you call Titan Smart Labs, we are a lifestyle category. So soon you will see that we are splitting into more deeper verticals that can make an impact to the consumer. And I'm happy that all of this is going to happen from Hyderabad.
Likewise, this is really exciting stuff for all of us here, I think.
Thank you.
So we're out of time, but if I could get maybe one last closing statement from each of you, that would be great to the audience. Maybe we start with you, Venkat.
As a company, we are looking forward to an explosive growth led by the smart labs, and in trademark fashion of solving some kind of a customer need with technology, so that more and more of the use of the product is actively sought by the customer, as opposed to 90% of the features being forgotten, kind of point that she was making. For example, if you look at the whole subject of hydration, right? And I'm a runner, so it's very specific for me. But even as just a warm body walking around, we often, I pick up a class at 5 p.m. My first class sometimes at 5 p.m. in the evening, and I realize, oh my God, I haven't had water, and I'm supposed to drink whatever I'm supposed to drink. So that the device alerting me through the day to drink water is a very useful, or we know how big stress is in our lives, right? And if there is and stress actually builds, and there may be an interaction which I've had in my whatever, at home or work, which has actually raised my stress, and I don't know. But there are obviously chemical reactions happening inside the body which indicate that the stress is building. So if I am told that actually, excuse me, just take a 5-minute break, walk out, breathe 2-3 times, drink a glass of water, shout, come back, maybe I've de-stressed and come back, maybe I've avoided something very, very important, critical in my body, right? So that is the way we want to look at this use cases and actually build solutions using technology. It's a long last word, but...
No, awesome, awesome, thank you. Ravi?
Great thoughts, Venkat. Well, I think just building on that, it's really about how do you make things relevant. The good news is a lot of the sensors, for stress, for hydration, they're already there.
Right.
So it's a matter of how you take it and how you manifest it into solutions that are meaningful, useful. That is by deeply understanding the customer needs, customer behavior, where are they now and where they want to go. I think that'll be the future, and we hope to make it happen.
Thank you, awesome. Suparna.
Yeah, I'll touch on an aspect which is very crucial in all of this happening, which is people. And our people are very committed, very talented. I would say, in general for Titan Company, we are very blessed to have exceptional talent with extraordinary commitment. And that is part of the answer on why people are here for decades. Also a lot of freedom, a lot of room to grow, learn. And I would make that my last word, saying, there are a lot of our people here in the room. They're all smiling from there. We have very, very dedicated people. See, it's like this. We are talking about all these products and the platform, the overall, the ecosystem being of tremendous value to the consumer. All of this will be done by our people. And so, as a leader, I need to take care of the people will take care of everything else. And that's pretty much how it works. Right, Raj?
Absolutely, well said.
I think that's an incredibly important point. And, one thing I must point out is usually a lot of people outside equate being in one job for many years as stagnation. And yet Titan has managed to innovate consistently over the years to become as large as it is today. So you're definitely doing something right. Loyalty plus innovation, incredible. So great job, all of you. Jayesh, any last words from you, please?
So, my best wishes once again to the company for starting their smart labs here. Our minister, Mr. K.T. Ramarao, actually was really looking forward to this function, but because of his injury, he has not been able to come. Good wishes from his side as well. And I can assure you on our behalf that we'll be true partners for your expansion and growth in Hyderabad. While we may not have equity in your company, but we'll be adding much more value than your equity partners elsewhere.
Raj.
There's a phrase called as walk before you run. I think in the last 2 years, I believe that this team has put the necessary foundation to actually take off. I'm happy to say that we have now put all the necessary building blocks. We've put all the necessary foundation elements in the last 2 years with a lot of hard work. Now this year, you will see that Titan Smart Labs will really take off. You will see a lot of interesting products that will be launched this year, through the year, at different price points, because we believe that India has many Indias, and a lot of Indians like to buy products at several price points. So this year, you will see a lot of innovation from Titan and a lot of launches as well. So I would say that Titan is going to come with a bang this year, and powered by Titan Smart Labs, you will see a lot of innovation. So that's my promise.
I think it's incredible again. Just the fact that you're focusing on Indian consumers, which you understand better than anybody else, right? The fact that you're designing in India and making as much as you can in India, incredible stuff. Thank you all for being on this panel. It's been wonderful getting to know you all. Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank you. I really have to thank Jayesh Garu for staying beyond his scheduled time. Really, truly appreciate. So thank you. Srini generously accepted. I just requested him like really last minute. Hey Srini, I don't think anybody better can do this job as a moderator for this esteemed audience. And Srini said, anytime, I would love to support you. So Srini, thanks a lot for jumping on. And in the last 3 days, he's been really my guiding force. Calm down, everything will be okay. It's okay. So thank you, Srini. So really appreciate your help.
Welcome.
Suparna, so thank you for being here and giving the importance and presence. I think your energy definitely is going to be there. Ravi, I know you're just 2 days old, but thank you for coming in. You're still fighting your jet lag, but still truly appreciate you making the trip. So thanks a lot. Venkat, needless to say, you really took time and really, really appreciate you coming here. I think your energy has to be something that we have to circulate all through the team. So thank you, Venkat, for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Raj. All the very best to you and your team. And thank you also for setting up this unique engagement to bring alive many of, and make all of us, at least in the company, to think about this opportunity deeply. Thank you for that.
Thank you.